Hi, I'm Fraser Douglas, and I've been an avid tent camper now for 55 years. When I first started camping back in 1967, I thought I knew how to start a campfire. But on several camping trips, I was unable to get a campfire started. Sometimes because I couldn't find materials needed to start the fire, sometimes because those materials were wet, sometimes I couldn't find firewood, big pieces of firewood, and sometimes the firewood that I found wouldn't burn. So after a while, I decided to begin looking at scouting books and camping books to figure out how I could be sure that I could start a campfire on my next camping trip. I learned about the triangle of fire. I learned that in order to have a fire, I needed to have an ignition source, I needed to have oxygen, and I needed to have fuel. But I couldn't understand how that information would help me make my campfire better on my next camping trip. So I read further and I found out about different ways of laying your firewood on the fire. There's a teepee lay, there's a lean-to lay, there's a log cabin lay, there's a parallel lay, and I think there are 2 or 3 other lays. But again, I couldn't see how that information would help me build a better campfire on my next camping trip either. So I kept reading and I learned about the 3 elements that you need to start a fire: tinder, kindling, and fuel. Now that helped a little bit more, but it still didn't explain many specific details that I needed to know in order to get a good fire going, regardless of the conditions that I might encounter in the campground. And so over the past 55 years, I have, through trial and error, learned a lot of tips and tricks for making sure that I can get a campfire started no matter where I go and what the conditions are. And now I want to share some of those tips and tricks with you. Hope you enjoy this video. First of all, make a fire starter bag at home before you leave on your camping trip. This bag should include some tinder, small kindling, large kindling, an ignition source, and a pair of leather gloves. You should pack this bag at home so that all of these basic fire starting materials are dry whenever you want to start a campfire. Let me elaborate on each of these items. In this bag, you'll need an ignition source to create a spark to start your fire. On the internet, some articles will tell you that you need waterproof matches, and other articles will tell you that you need a ferrocerium rod, but I believe that the most practical option is a butane lighter. You can find them in almost any store, and if you pack 4 or 5 of them, you'll always have one in case another one fails. Just for fun, I also like to pack a flint and steel and occasionally use this method to ignite my fires. Let me just show you how easy this is. First of all, I place a piece of charred cotton washcloth on top of my flint, and then I hit it with my steel like this. When a spark lands on the char cloth, I put it in a piece of paper and start blowing on it. That one. You video? All right. To catch that initial spark, you'll need some tinder in your fire starter bag. On the internet, you'll find many recommendations for tinder, such as petroleum-saturated cotton balls, lint from your clothes dryer, dried grass, shredded tree bark, pine fat wood, a variety of commercial fire starters, and even Doritos.
But personally, I believe that newspaper is about as good as anything else, and occasionally I might add some fibers from a
And that's right. And
piece of
why that
hemp
paper?
rope. As soon as your tinder catches fire, you'll need to place a couple of handfuls of small kindling taken from your fire starter bag onto that fire. For small kindling, I use twigs from limbs that have fallen from the trees in my yard, and I use small slivers of pine that I either split with my axe or shave with my knife from scrap pine in my garage workshop. As soon as your small kindling begins to burn, you'll need to put some larger kindling onto the fire. In a few campgrounds, you may be able to find plenty of large kindling just laying on the ground. But in most campgrounds, this kindling has either been collected by previous campers or is too wet to burn. And so I make large kindling and fill my fire starter bag about half full with it. To make this large kindling, I split a piece of oak or hickory down to about the diameter of my thumb, and then I cut each piece in half to make it about 6 to 8 inches long. Most internet sites discussing fire use the word fuel, but that refers to anything that can burn. And so I believe that when talking about campfires, we need to use the word firewood. And the term firewood usually refers to pieces of trees that have been cut to approximately 16 inches long and split to up to 6 inches in diameter. Anything larger than 6 inches in diameter would be poorly suited for building or maintaining a campfire. In the past, campers could bring plenty of firewood from their home or find plenty of it on the ground near their campsite. But those days are quickly coming to an end, and now campers will probably have to buy their firewood if they want to have a campfire. The reasons for these changes are many. For example, many parks now prohibit bringing firewood in from your home or from some other distant location. These rules are designed to protect healthy trees in the forest from the destructive insects that may be living in dead firewood. Number 2, many parks now prohibit gathering wood from the forest floor. These rules are trying to protect the food, shelter, and habitat of small insects that constitute the first rung of the food chain. Number 3, other campers may have already walked through the campground and picked up all the firewood. And finally, number 4, wood on the ground may be too large or too wet to use as firewood. So, where is the best place to buy firewood? Almost every state and federal campground sells wood in the campground that is marked as firewood, but I have discovered that about half the time this wood is poorly suited for making fires. So be careful before you buy. Some firewood splits easily, burns easily, and produces very little smoke, while other types of trees are difficult to split, are difficult to catch on fire, and produce a lot of smoke. The best firewood to buy is a bundle that has this shield from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. This shield indicates that the wood is free of all pests and has been dried so that it will burn easily. You can usually find these USDA certified firewood bundles in farm supply stores like Farm and Fleet and Tractor Supply, in home improvement stores like Lowe's and Home Depot, and in some grocery stores. If you can't find USDA certified firewood, then go to the internet and look for local firewood dealers. But when buying, be sure to ask what kind of wood it is and how long it has been drying. To consistently build good campfires, you need to think about firewood as falling into one of three categories. Small firewood is about 1 to 2 inches in diameter. Mid-size firewood is 2 to 4 inches in diameter, and large firewood is 4 to 6 inches in diameter. The wood that typically comes in firewood bundles is large firewood. It's fine for maintaining a hot fire, but it's not real helpful for building a new fire. For that task, you need small and mid-size firewood. To make small and mid-size firewood, you'll need to split some of your larger firewood pieces. If you split a large piece one time, you'll have 2 mid-sized pieces. If you split a mid-sized piece one time, you'll have 2 small pieces. Let me show you my way of splitting firewood. I believe it is the easiest and safest method available. First, I put the piece of firewood on the splitting block, and then I swing only hard enough to stick the axe in the firewood. Then I turn the axe and the wood upside down and drop the axe head on the splitting block. I'll repeat the procedure again to split the mid-sized piece of wood into 2 small pieces. In this case, the wood was very dry and split faster than I expected. More of my firewood splitting techniques can be found on this YouTube channel. You can split firewood with any old axe or hatchet, but I believe that a small boy's axe with about a 2-pound head and a 24-inch handle is the easiest and safest way to split a lot of firewood. Now, you can buy a good quality small boy's axe on the internet for about $150 to $200, but I prefer to make my axe by finding an old axe head in a flea market and putting a new handle on it. If you prefer a smaller hatchet that you can pack in your tool bag, then the Estwing Camper's Axe 14 is a very good choice. But be careful, splitting firewood with hatchets is a little more dangerous than splitting them with a larger axe. One last issue to consider is fire safety. Before starting a fire, always ask about any fire regulations or restrictions that may be in effect, and always have a bucket of water ready in case your fire gets out of control.
Well, I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and I hope that you've learned something that will help you make a campfire in a campsite where things don't exactly go the way they're supposed to go. Good luck.
For more information about camp axes and campfire cooking, please visit my website, moderntentcamping.com. A link is provided in the description below.
Take more trips, travel further, visit more attractions, and spend less money. Go tent camping.
Thanks for watching.